Hi, good to see you again. You know, with the things being what they are in the economy right now, I heard a conversation among some people about things that they were doing to make a little extra money and cut back on expenses. And the topic of gambling came up, and it reminded me of something that happened to me many years ago. Now, we're sending this video off from Arizona, and in Arizona they allow gaming on the Indian reservations. Well, many years ago, it's probably been about 15 years ago, I had an Asian friend who enjoyed gambling. Myself, I wasn't really much of a gambler or anything like that, but she took me to one of the casinos here that was in its infancy. In fact, at the time, they didn't even have a building. They had like a big tent structure. And this was so long ago, machines still dispensed silver dollars or dollar tokens that were meant to look like silver dollars. Well, they've gone the way of the 99-cent shrimp cocktail. But in any event, I was kind of new to it, never really frequented a casino. And she had kind of a penchant for these red, white, and blue dollar machines. And there's three or four lines, I forget which. There's what they call a single pay line. And of course, being there, beginner's luck, I won a few $100s, and I thought, hey, this is kind of fun. Well, at the time, I worked a job that had an alternating schedule. I would either go in at 9 and get off at 3, or go in at 3 and then work until 9 in the evening. So on the days that I was off early, I thought, hey, why not go and do a little gambling? Well, since I was trained, so to speak, on that particular machine, I kind of felt drawn to it. And on one occasion, I went there and started winning and winning and winning. In fact, it got to the point to where when I was waiting for the change person to come around and give me my money, on one machine I started playing the one next to it, and back and forth, and of course both machines started to win. It got to be so crazy that a crowd had actually gathered around. Well, as I say, these machines dispensed these dollar-sized coins at the time, and they had these little plastic racks that you could put them in, and each rack held $100. And I had a bar stool kind of to my side, and I had 12 of those racks stacked up, $1,200. Well, in addition to that, each of the trays at the base of the machine was full of coins. And each of those trays, if I remember right, held a little bit over $200. So I had 12 racks, 2 full trays, and people were kind of hovering around. Well, after the initial excitement, something happened to me, and I began to feel very possessive of these machines. In fact, I was almost foaming at the mouth because I'm looking over my shoulder. These people, they want my machines, they want me to leave. And, you know, it was uncanny. The people that paid out the jackpots kept coming around, and they were shaking their heads like something was really freakish about this. Well, I noticed this one Asian man kind of looking over the back of my bar stool, eyeballing my racks that were stacked up, and I could see him kind of mentally counting them. And I'm watching him and kind of growling, what do you want? And he says to me, be smart, go home. And I says, yeah, you son of a bitch, you just want my machines, you know. And I'm foaming at the mouth. Well, to make a long story short, to a very sad ending, not only did I put those 12 racks back in the machine, not only did I empty those troughs that were full of coins, but I went to the ATM after. That was my come to Jesus moment that, hey, maybe something's wrong here. You could have maybe a little bit of a problem handling this. And that was my last real bad encounter. But this conversation of me that I overheard earlier started me thinking about that. So I started to do a little research on gambling, because these days a lot of people are playing the lottery or doing different types of gaming, hoping to get a little bit ahead of the financial curve right now. Well, if you go to Gamblers Anonymous website, they have a list of 20 questions. And they say that if you answer more than 7 of these in the affirmative, you probably have a problem. And I'm not going to read them all. A couple of them kind of spoke to me, and I'd like to share them with you. Have you ever felt remorse after gambling? After losing Did you feel you must return as quick as possible to win back those losses? After you win, did you have a strong urge to return and win even more? Did you gamble till your last dollar was gone? Well, that's something I did with the ATM. Did you ever gamble longer than you had planned? Well, as many of you probably know, there are no clocks in casinos, just for that reason. The flashing lights, you know, the oxygen that some of them pump into the air to get you all excited, the free drinks. It's all a fantasy world to make you lose track of time. And in that particular time, the story I just told you about, I looked at my watch and says, holy cow. I went there at 3 in the afternoon and it was like 4 in the morning by the time I left. Completely out of character. Because I'm a pretty conservative guy. Well, how do you think this plays into God's plan for our life? What I experienced, that gambling Jones, if you will, or the same thing that many people experience with other things, controlled substances, liquor, and so on, is the fact that the personality, the ego, gets out of hand. God wants us to be good stewards of what we have. And when we handle the money that we do have now properly, we get more of it. When we play games of chance, or a lot of us do, we throw in $1 or $2 or 10 or 20 each week on the lottery, hoping for that big jackpot. We're not being good stewards. We're cheating ourselves. In fact, you've probably heard the joke that the lottery is a tax for people who are bad at math. And when you consider the odds, that certainly seems to be true. There's another one that's a little more off color, that what has 6 and screws you twice a week? The Powerball. Well, no disrespect to any of those games, and I know that they do donate quite a bit for good causes. But let's all be good stewards, not only of our finances, but of our lives. Let's be good neighbors, good parents, good spouses, good workers, good community, good employers, and let's be good to each other. And I'd like to close with the words of Rodney King, why can't we all just get along? Let's do a little bit better job of handling what we have, and let's get more of it. God bless you all, and we'll see you real soon.